Now, still with our top story, and the British and US forces have, as we say, launched airstrikes on 16 Houthi targets in Yemen overnight following attacks by the rebel group on ships in the Red Sea. Rishi Sunak, who is in Ukraine, described the attacks as limited, necessary and proportionate action in self-defence. And today, Keir Starmer gave his support to the intervention.
It's clear that for some time now they've been carrying out attacks on shipping, commercial shipping in the Red Sea, putting civilian lives at risk, as well as disrupting international trade and traffic and shipping. And so we support this action. Obviously, we need the Prime Minister to make a full statement to Parliament, but we're fully supportive of the action that's needed to stop these attacks taking place.
Well, the Iran-backed group has responded, saying they intend to continue targeting ships along the trade routes and warning that the attacks will not go without punishment or retaliation. Joining us now is Conservative MP Tobias Ellwood, former chair of the Defence Select Committee. Tobias, thank you so much for coming on. Simply put, we have to respond to this, surely, given how much of global trade goes through the Red Sea, regardless of whether or not people think that this is going to inflame situations. We were holding back and going unchecked. Things weren't easily getting resolved.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent summary. I also, listening carefully to what was just being said there, with one of the contributors saying, I'm no fan of the government, no fan of the army. I do hope that we're all fans of Britain, of Britain's economy, of our security, and indeed supporters of global order. And I think that's what we need to articulate here as to why are we doing this. Many people were woken up this morning to say, what on earth is Britain doing? We've now got ourselves involved in the Middle East, where this might go. And it's quite right, therefore, that the government takes this step by step, making the case, keeping Britain supportive of what the government and indeed the wider alliance is doing. As you imply, this is about international shipping. It's about access to international seas. It's about an impact on our economy, on the cost of living here in the UK. And what happens, more importantly, if we don't step forward, if we do nothing, where does this go? And I'm absolutely pleased that the government has taken this responsible attitude. Firstly, going to the United Nations, getting that international top cover, making sure that firstly we then give a warning to the Houthis to say, you must back off. And they didn't do that. They continued not only to attack international vessels, they started attacking the very task force that was sent to protect safe passage of these vessels itself. But there's a bigger picture here, which I think you were starting to allude on. Who supports the Houthis? How do they get these sophisticated weapons systems in there? The same people that support Hamas, the same people that support Hezbollah. It's Iran and Iran's proxy influence. And that is the bigger challenge for a longer term discussion and debate about the direction of travel in the Middle East. Where does Iran go? What are we going to do about it?
Tobias, the Houthis, unsurprisingly, are vowing a severe response to this. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say that that response is significant. What do we do then? I mean, Rishi is being very careful and studious about saying this is a limited, proportionate response, military targets ever. But if they do something back to us, we have to respond again. And that's called escalation, isn't it?
No, it's not called escalation. We need to keep this in context here. This is a defensive operation with clear cut guidance as to where we go on this. This isn't about, when you were speaking earlier, about an invasion of another state or World War III. There's no boots on the ground here. We must keep this in perspective. This is about upholding international law, protecting the international rights of travel, of passage, of safe passage through the Red Sea itself, with huge consequences, not just for Britain, but for other economies across the world. We are a P5 member of the United Nations Security Council. We have a duty to convene and to encourage other nations to support us legally and internationally to defend our global order. If we don't do that, then
sorry to interrupt, Tobias. It's just that what we're hearing from number 10 is there are no plans for any further strikes. Now, if the Houthis respond significantly, presumably there will have to be further strikes.
Yes, I think that's absolutely right. What was a clear-cut statement from Number 10, and no doubt the White House as well, that they have done their initial attack. There will be no more. And if the Houthis do not attack ships, vessels, or indeed that task force in the Red Sea, then nothing further will happen. This will draw a line under this. But you and I both know that that's not how Iran works. Iran takes advantage of its proxy influence. And it's not just Iran, I should say. It's the IRGC. It's the what I believe should be a prescribed organization working within Iran. That should have been prescribed some time ago. That's supporting Hamas, supporting the Houthis, supporting the Hezbollah as well. Until we grasp that, I'm afraid we'll continue to see Iran leverage its proxy influence and continue to make the Middle East unstable.
It's not the problem here that this all really goes back to how weak we've been when it comes to our relationship with Iran, even how much we've been trading with Iran. I was looking at the trade statistics for just over a year ago, and there was a huge uptick in exports from the UK to Iran, including goods like chemical reagents, including machinery, including nuclear reactors, heavens above. And it seems to me that however much we say, oh, we can get around the negotiation table with Iran, we can lift sanctions, oh, we can do prisoner exchanges, we can release money that has been held back from Iran. The minute you give them anything, instead of going, oh, thank you, I'm going to now become a responsible player on the global stage, they do the opposite.
Yes, I mean, this is the approach that came under Obama of wanting to engage, to try a different approach in trying to invite Iran to take a more responsible approach to its relationships on the international stage. Clearly, that hasn't worked. It's clear it's what Iran's intent is. And I 100% agree with you. We've become too risk averse, I think, since the end of the Cold War. Take the size of our Navy, for example. We had 50 frigates and destroyers. And because we've become perhaps risk averse, we've become too content in assuming that everybody's going to participate in our globalized world, that there aren't going to be any future threats, that we've downsized our defense posture. And we now realize that I'm afraid there are people that take advantage and exploit our openness, our transparency, and so forth. And that's what we're seeing now. I wouldn't be surprised if next week we hear of their counter strike group being tasked to the Middle East as well, to provide that assurance, to say that, yes, participate by our international laws, then there won't be a problem. But if you cross them, absolutely there will be consequences, as we've seen yesterday and today.